So you want to connect with your spirit guides, but how do they connect with you? Well, this is what Rob and I are going to discuss in this week's episode. So, what's the first one, Rob? How on earth am I going to know whether my spirit guide is connecting with me or not?
You are going to have to
Mm.
listen and trust. So, what is your intuition telling you? We are so good as human beings of ignoring our intuition,
Hmm.
but
Yeah.
everything comes through your intuition. All these messages come in, and you have to learn to listen. You have to tune your intuition.
Mm.
And the more you do that, like tuning in a radio is there before, the more you'll understand the messages that are coming in kind of subliminally and filtering in that you are either ignoring or picking up on. Hopefully, you're picking up on.
Mm.
So, you get these little inner nudges that, you might suddenly think, oh, I should go and do X, Y, Z
Yeah.
out of the blue. And if you don't then go and do X, Y, and Z, you've lost your message. But if you do X, Y, and Z, there may well be something there for you that you are meant to see or find or hear or do, whatever experience. So these aren't big things. These are just learning to trust what you hear.
Mm.
Trust what's in your mind. Trust, we used to say, what your gut's telling you to do. And I'm a
Yeah.
firm
Yeah.
believer in that because what your gut is your solar plexus chakra in old world speak. It's where all your fear and experiences and how you feel things is there. So it is really, really good to use that. You listen to your gut, listen to yourself, tune into yourself and listen to what you're being told. Very,
And
very easy not to hear these messages.
yeah. And what happens then when we're not listening and what hearing is many people saying, I'm stuck. And when this happens, when the guides connect to me, I'll know this. And we're not even listening to the really, really
Yeah,
basic things that the guides are nudging us for. Yeah.
absolutely.
Physical things that we might get, those inner nudges and some signs and things like that. Really
Yeah,
interested. So, kind of moving on from that, Rob, yeah, the synchronicities in signs that are more like these physical things going on, more like
yes.
from the outer side, where somebody might say, "Oh, come along to this meeting." Now, sometimes you might think, "Oh no, I don't like that. I'm not interested in that." That could be more of your resistance, more ego, thinking, "Oh, I wouldn't like to go to that meeting because it's something new," and oh, you'd be frightened of it, and let's be in fear. Let's be in fear. It might have a scary, saber-toothed tiger there. But what if that is a nudge too? Opening up opportunities for you. Most people, we talk about signs and synchronicities being like a white feather. And yeah, that definitely that's okay. I've had, I've something happened in our family once, and it doesn't happen very often at all. Something happened around just after my auntie died, and it was just between local, close-knit family, and we're arguing. I don't even want to say it like that. And all, from nowhere, there was no beds above nowhere. There was a white feather came down. And that's lovely because all of that is doing is to keep, is to make you think it's peace. It was a distraction. It suddenly, we just all stopped and everything was fine. But it's not just like, oh, there's a white feather over there. There's a white feather. Because what is that do? How is that helping you? This is going to be controversial, isn't it, Rob? Like the repeated numbers, like all these, oh, I'm
Yes.
seeing 111, 111 everywhere. Again, great. Sometimes it's a great confirmation. I actually get if I do see those, I'm checking, and it's something that I would need to program in. We work on computer programs and algorithms and things, and that can be numbers. The geometry where it's in from mathematical numbers, and so it might be that it's actually telling you that those numbers are waiting for you to program them in. So you need to be asking, not just go, oh, I saw these angel numbers, not necessarily from angels as well. So we might get some, some comments on how very dare you, but we just want to go from where we get the messages from. Again, signs. Our animals are beautiful guides, aren't they? We forgot to say this, I think, in the last
Mm,
episode. But our animals can give us so many signs, especially if they're ill or especially if they work into, our your energy. You feel like this as well, don't you, Rob?
oh, yeah,
About animals so much. Um,
absolutely. And, as the energy changes for us humans, And as our
Yes.
frequency rises, as everything changes, so it does with the animals too.
Yes.
I was just saying to you earlier, and you just witnessed it as well.
Yes, I
There's,
have.
I have a cat that has completely had a personality transplant
Mm.
these last few months. Is
Yeah.
unbelievably chilled and friendly and just wants to purr and rub and be with all the time, which was not the case immediately before that. So
Yes.
she's had a change of
Yeah.
energy, which is really lovely. And it's changed my energy back because I'm kinder and nicer back. So,
Where you were
symbiotic, we
grumpy
share
before.
that.
You were
Oh,
grumpy
not so
before.
much. Let's not say that.
But that is a lovely way again. How when we talk about we want to heal ourselves and grow ourselves, they can be just so subtle, so many subtle things that we can change that will help others. That's
Yeah,
that ripple effect that you've created, Rob, that goes in, that is reflected,
yeah.
in your pets and your animals. Yeah, those things are fantastic. Synchronicities can also be things like on the back of buses and
Hmm.
messages, and it can be when you ask a specific question and then you'll get something coming up on social media, a video to watch, etc., or a book will fall in your lap. Those ones are lovely as well. Those are very easy to work on and understand. Wow, that was a synchronicity and that was a sign for me to work through. But again, you still got to do that work to
Yeah,
get into what is it? If I read the book, do I need to read all the book? Do I need to just read a chapter? Do I need to read a page? Do I need to open a page of it? So just, work into that. Sometimes I will give people a nudge on a book and they'll have bought the book, but it's not always that. It might just be something that they need to look at the front cover and move away from it. It's just one thing. So again, very discerning on that.
yeah. But little
What's
things as well that we all know about, like getting a phone call from someone you've been thinking about,
yes. Mm,
or getting a message from someone you have been thinking about but haven't connected with,
mm,
and they initiate it.
yeah.
These are all being manipulated
Mm,
on the other side, as it were,
yeah.
by guides
Yeah.
who know you need to make that connection.
Yes. Yeah. Great
So
big nudge.
they will allow it to happen.
Mm,
So it'd be very good for you to be a little grateful for that. When it does happen, just be thankful for it and
mm,
recognize it and just allow it to sit in you.
mm, mm.
So it's
Yeah,
quite easy to have
absolutely.
all these things and you just dismiss it. So what?
Yeah, and then still feel stuck and
Yeah,
I'm not. Why am I
yeah.
not
So
healing? Mm,
store this positivity because it's all wonderful.
mm.
Tiny things are wonderful.
Yeah.
So let me go a bit further from where I was as well. I was talking about intuition a little while ago,
Yes.
and that's the kind of thing that could be while you're stacking the dishwasher or whatever you
Mm,
do. You could have this gut feel. What about when you have made an intention to talk to the guides
mm,
and you have sat quietly within yourself? You've done whatever you can to go within, as we say, and you've reached out and said, here is this. What can you help? How can you help me? What do I need to know? How can I change this thinking? And how can I make something positive that I haven't regarded as positive? It's a challenge to me. And you sit very quietly, and then you start to get answers,
mm, mm.
and your thinking starts to change. And you can do that almost as if you're having a conversation with yourself, because you might well be having a conversation with yourself,
Yeah. Higher
higher
self.
self, other part
Mm,
of you.
mm,
You could also be having this channel to you by a guide who knows that you need this bit of assistance right now. You could also go into this space, meet your guide, and actually have a face-to-face conversation. And I would say for me, that's probably 80% of the work I do with guides
yes.
is
Yeah.
intentional, quiet time, question.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm, mm.
It's fine to say, oh, let's connect to the guides, and there's the guide, and you go, hello.
You don't know what to say.
I'm not
Yeah. You've got to be
absolutely sure
intentional.
why I'm doing this, am I? You really have to have reason.
Yeah. Yeah. You need the intention there. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Positive
it's not
intention.
life-changing intention every time.
Mm,
It's intention to connect, intention to better yourself and improve yourself
yeah.
and
Yeah.
increase your vibration. So however that might be, that's what they're there to help you with. So they'll
Yeah.
they'll be waiting there patiently for you to show up,
Mm. And
and you'll get the help.
Yeah, and you'll get this, they'll work with what I class as telepathy.
Yeah,
So you'll end up, this is where it gets all the juicy bits where
yeah,
you are able to connect with them because they'll be talking to you. You'll hear them. You might see things. They might show you things through the telepathy. You might get that all knowing, all sensing. Gosh, I know this, and this is from this beautiful wave where when you meditate and you can go up into a higher state of
yeah.
consciousness and slow your brain wave down, and so that you can, this is where the beauty of connecting. We do a lot of this in with our clients, don't we, Rob, of how to
Just about to say
really go on
exactly
that
that.
kind of
Yeah.
frequency, if you like, if you want to call it that, in that mode of operation, to get all that information. That's one of the best. I think that's what people want, the juicy bit that people want to really know. How am I going to connect with my spirit guides and the galactic guides, and what are they going to say to me? So that's a
Indeed.
lovely one to go through.
Yeah, in fact, what my clients and probably your clients don't realize is that before we have a session, I have a session that
Yes,
is connecting to
yes,
them, connecting to
absolutely.
my guides, getting their
Hmm.
guides to connect to their guides so that we use the session well.
Yeah, it's preparation.
And that I'll use the word channeling. I don't mean that by stepping in and being taken over. I just mean that I am listening to and being fed by the guides, which I can then give to the client.
Mm,
And
mm,
it's a two-way process,
mm.
which is really rewarding, and you get good work done
Yeah,
very quickly
yeah,
because their guides are working with you as well.
yeah.
And even though they may not have arrived at a point where they are connecting intentionally, the truth hits home
Mm,
because it's their
mm.
truth.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. And they
So
get good
that
insights.
that's really really good work.
Mm.
However you channel guides, I don't like the word channel, but I don't have another one.
Mm.
It is
Mm.
really for me just translating what they're telling me. And quite often my guides show me imagery,
Yes. And me.
and so
Mm.
I have to think, okay, what does that mean?
Exactly.
So how do
Mm.
I verbalize that to help you, let alone help me? If this is in a working situation or I need to tell you this information, what is that? So luckily, I've got a mind that can do the work for me.
Yeah. And this is where
Yeah.
they can drip feed you, can't they, Rob?
Oh
Because
yeah.
again, depending on how long you've been doing it, how much you practice, the first, if you're going the first few times or the first time you go in, you can get this piece of information, but it might not be the whole story because it's as much as you can take in at any one time because it's mind blowing to to that extent.
Yeah.
So we've got to be very careful of the interpret. When you say you interpret it, I'm the same. I can have an interpretation one day, and even 6 months later, have a different interpretation
Yeah.
altogether because
Yeah.
I've had to piece the puzzle together of
Exactly.
what
That's
they're
a good
saying.
image.
So
Yeah.
sometimes you've just got to be a
Yeah.
bit careful rather than this having this beautiful, wonderful, all-knowing, all-seeing piece of information, and then going off to share it with people, sometimes it's not ready to share. So we've got to understand, and sometimes it can be more detrimental, to
Yeah.
people because we've got the wrong messages. And you can see this a lot in, out there in the spiritual world I've had this message from my guide and I've thought, have you really? Just check on
Hmm.
that, you just need to maybe tweak that interpretation and ask them for a little bit more of that. You know, no right, wrong, good or bad about that, but
No,
just
no.
know that it's just, you will get as much as you need at that time, and you might have to keep going in. But that's almost that became, in a good way, an obsession with me. Like, oh, I've got to go in and find out a bit more about that. That makes you continue the practice and want to practice doing it. It's just that's
Yeah.
why me and Rob want to share it. How you can connect with the guides because it's so beautiful. It just isn't like being human on this world, but it's on this planet. But it is how the whole point of this is getting messages for our benefit, for us to navigate this world. That's all what
Yeah.
it is. It's not about asking questions about how can I get off this planet because I don't want to be here. That's not right. So yeah, and some people you will get dreams and visions, won't you? I've had odd things, but for some, it really will come in the dreams and visions because it's the
Yeah.
way the guides can pop themselves in because you're in again a different state of consciousness with that. But I haven't personally had that much experience, but I've had a little bit, which is why we decided to put this part of it in
Yeah, it's really important that
conversation.
as you're listening to this, any or all or part of or something else might be your system.
Yeah.
Yeah, it depends on so much. So,
Yeah,
we're giving you a list of ways that we know spirit guides connect. Maybe you've got something else.
exactly.
Yeah, and if you
Yeah.
have, please
Yeah.
tell us.
Yeah,
Share, share,
exactly.
share.
Definitely. Would love
Um,
to know.
but also you need to be always open to methods,
Yeah, there'll always be
ways of
new
it.
ones.
Absolutely. Yeah, I started my spiritual career, shall we say, as a tarot reader.
Mm.
I still read tarot cards, less and less now, but I still do read tarot cards as much for a client as much for me.
Yes.
Because it's easy if you have someone you're working with to see something
Yes.
if they
Yes.
aren't yet quite at the point where they can figure it themselves. So I use oracle cards, I use tarot
hmm
cards, sometimes use pendulums. I've got a few pendulums, but I don't often
Mm.
use them. But my biggest tip, if you're on YouTube, you can see I'm holding a crystal. These
Yeah.
things are like batteries to the other world.
Yes, they
This is
are.
like a radio transmitter. And if you go into a crystal shop and you go in with the intention of buying a crystal that will help you connect to your multi-dimensional self,
Mm.
feel it and work with it, it's amazing.
Mm.
It's
Mm.
amazing. It took me ages and ages and ages to break the crystal myth. I used to
Yes.
buy crystals because I thought I ought to have crystals because I'm in this world. And but now I have 6 or 7 crystals that I reach to for specific things. This one I'm holding now always connects me.
Yeah, powerful electricity, powerful
Absolutely.
energy in them,
Yeah.
definitely. Even the
Yeah.
scientists would agree with the energy in them that
Absolutely.
helps,
Yeah.
that
I
just
don't have
expands. Yeah.
yeah, I don't have a weird ritual. I don't bathe them in moonlight or do anything like that. They're just with me. And when I feel the need, I pick one up and just hold it and let it be.
Yeah. hmm
That simple.
Mm. The surrendering into it all.
Yeah. Yeah. So if you want to use, a physical manual of divination to help you understand what the guides are telling you, great, do it, but do it with intention.
Yeah.
If you're going to
Yeah.
lay out a tarot card spread, know that you have connected to your guides, you've asked the question, you put it out there, and you're asking for advice. And they will find a way to give you in that layout
Mm.
what you're looking for.
Mm.
And in time, you'll be able to do that without laying out cards.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
if you want to,
But
go for
it's
it.
good. It's good fun.
Absolutely.
Um,
It's enjoyable.
I
Yeah.
don't use tarot cards, but I use the Oracle. I love my Oracle cards. I got,
Yeah.
and
I use
somebody
both.
said
Yeah.
yesterday when I got them a few out, you got loads, and we've only got this only about a third of what I've got.
Yeah.
And with Oracle cards, I want to say here, people will just go, oh, I'll just pick one Oracle
Yeah.
card, and it's not even about picking three past, present, future because past and future doesn't exist. So it's about picking, but I might pick about between 8 and to 15, and you can ask the guides, how many do I need? When you've
Yeah.
asked the question, of what you want, of your intention, of what you want to learn about or find the answer to, which you've got to have this intention. Don't just pick one card. You've got to have it. That's just like one piece of the jigsaw puzzle.
Yeah.
You've got to have a whole range to understand the full message, because at that moment in time, one card isn't getting you the full spectrum, the full range of that message. So you can do that. And pendulums, I love to, I literally will hold them over a client to say, where's the, sort of an energy block or something like that, just because that's what I've always, sort of always done when I started, and just love working with crystals. And it gives me a little excuse to work with a crystal on the client, and will help. I actually ask if any of my pets are ill. I might ask the pendulum because, again, it helps in the energy. But you've got to make sure. We'll stress once again with pendulums. Don't do it from ego. Don't be, oh,
Oh
this
yes.
person has made me angry. I'm going to get my pendulum out, swing it, and just ask, should I, should I argue with this person? Should I just stop seeing this person or whatever? No, that's not the way. That's not the way you
No.
would, hold your energy. So again, you've got to make sure you're in a neutral position. This is with all of this with your guides, the better, the more spiritual maturity is around. All of this is around being more neutral. And you do that by clearing yourself and then coming back to working on the inner part of you, on, or, looking inward to you to become more the neutral observer rather than looking on the outside world.
Yeah,
Okay. And then just lastly, one I work on as well, and that's what we class as automatic writing or
yeah,
typing. Now, this again is not for me. Automatic writing does not mean I'm going to let another guide take over. What this is the guides will talk to me. So through my head, I can hear things just like you would if you were wanting to write a book. This is how a book is written. This is why I want to say about the automatic writing, because many of you have got a mission, to write books as a way of sharing the knowledge. But it's just a case of the information will come through your head, and oh gosh, I've better write this down because I will never remember it afterwards. And it could all go. If I don't write it down, 2 hours later, I'm thinking, what was that really good, juicy piece of information that the guides wrote to me, told me, when downloaded to me? And if I haven't written it down, I do not remember what it is. So that's a
yeah,
very good way of doing it. Or just typing. You can, either way is good. You can just, some people love to write more. It's more freedom. Or some people type because it's just quicker because the guide, when they're downloading, if you want to call it that, when they're talking to you, the words can come so fast. The download can be
mm,
quite fast, and it can be words and images. Don't worry about your typing because believe me, you won't be typing in English sometimes. You won't find the English words. You can't do both. You can't be, up in telepathy with the guides talking to you and knowing what the English, spelling is for something. Do not worry about that with everything.
yeah.
Okay.
Right. So I think it's time for a bit of self-work.
Yes, yes. What do you
Instead of
do with
just
all
listening to
this?
us talk,
Yeah.
what do you need to do to actually get this in action? So go on, Jenny.
Yeah, well,
Yeah,
the first thing is why do we've just been talking about this, why don't we keep a small notebook, a journal or something of what the guides are saying to you, but also all the synchronicities, because this might be part of the jigsaw puzzle. So yeah, keep things every time you get a synchronicity about something, or all that gut feeling that I need to be somewhere. And if you do, you open up to that opportunity and somebody, where I've been and somebody's said something very significant to me. It might be just one sentence they've given me where I've thought, I need to take this back with me to study and put into the jigsaw puzzle. Make a note of it then, because once again, you may forget.
forget.
If you're my age, you may forget. Um, and just know that anything, even dreams, write those down if
Yeah,
you're a person who, because it can come, it can be, we can all be so different. So if you get more dreams with messages, or Rob and I both get dreams with symbols in, so we might have to draw that symbol. It might be a light language symbol if we can represent that and redraw it afterwards, because it might be just that significant thing that you need for your healing or for somebody
yeah.
else's. And what else, Rob, is there with what people can do as some homework?
Oh, as well, when you're making these notes as well, just note has some kind of synchronicity happened to
Mm,
you.
mm,
Did you have a gut feeling that actually was right when you
mm,
followed through on it? So instead of feeling it and ignoring it, did you follow it through? Anything like that, just pop a note down. But also start to ask yourself what you want the guides to tell you.
mm,
So what do I want to know from the guides? Because we've said over and over this is an intentional thing. And working
yes.
with guides is a positive. So how do
Mm,
you take what you might be perceiving as a negative and ask for the positive of that? How do you ask to be shown the version of you that is not in the negative? So start to frame for yourself questions that you might want to put to the guides when you have the connection and you feel confident enough to say, so here's this. What have you got for me? That I get lots when I do that.
mm.
Really get lots. Often a lot of real clarity. I'll quite often as well be told to just pull it together.
Yes,
Just
yes.
honestly, really,
Get on with
we're
it.
not here for that. But they have uncanny wisdom. And it's their humor and sometimes their lack of patience. So Just frame your questions correctly. And if you're not sure, write it down first. Formulate it,
Mm.
change it, think. What is it? What should it be? What do you ask, Jimmy?
Yeah, one of the first things I don't, do this sometimes now, but one of the first things that used to really help me when I wasn't sure what questions to do to set you into the great, the better intention is when I woke up in the morning, is just ask. What would you have me do? Where would you have me go? And what would you have me say? And he used to
Mm,
just ask that and then let it go. Just to not have
yeah.
to think about, are you going to answer me now? Oh, I haven't got any answer to it now. But just let that go. And then in the physical, as you're working in the physical and taking action, etc., you can then, all of a sudden, you'll know the right thing to say to somebody. You be offered, this is where we're talking about, you'll be offered an opportunity and you will know then, wow, that was, I asked for that. I asked for that opportunity. There you go. Manifested that really easy just
Mhm.
from letting go. And what would you have me do? So it's then creating that aligned action rather than an action from trying to struggle and trying to go from like a low energy, negative thought of, oh, I've got to do this. So all those three questions really help me set the intention for the day.
Yeah.
Um, now I will ask, even more in-depth questions, but this is something we go into more in the course that me and Rob do. So, but it's just a great starting point of those three questions, for that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And if you've listened to this, take note of in yourself, or make a note in your journal if you want to, of did anything resonate? Did any
Mm,
pennies drop on the way? Was there some familiarity in anything we said? Because everything we're talking about happens to everybody. The question is how much you recognize it and note it.
mm,
So, did anything make you go, oh, perhaps I have? Or did anything make you think, perhaps I can?
yeah,
Because if you can, you're on the way.
definitely.
Yeah.
Mm. And you might even get those nudges, along the way, understand you've got questions to ask, understand the homework. You might even get nudges that don't feel of the light, that feel like you might
Yeah.
get something where you've asked those questions in the morning, and you can always ask other questions yourself, but know that sometimes what feels like a nudge that's the worst thing in the world, it could be, here we go, could be that day you get made redundant.
Yeah.
And it will feel like the worst thing. That does feel awful, but we've all been through it. I've been through it. Um, Best thing that ever happened at that specific time, even though I loved the job before then. But it might be something that all of a sudden it doesn't feel like the right thing, but please understand that's all meant, it's what soul's helping you do to be able to move away from let's call it the old version of you into, more, the higher
Yeah.
potential version. We all talk about, I want to be able to do more and say more and, be that leader, but we've got to remove the old paradigm, the old versions of ourselves in order to step forward. And that's the uncomfortable bit. But this is where when you're working with this, so the homework you've got, when you're working with this, it's the understanding that it's not just all, I'm just going to get, all the good things. And it's understanding if you get something where you thought, hang on a minute, I asked about all this today and I've had an argument with a friend and I didn't like that. How is that worked? But understand there's a message in there as well. No, not necessarily bad, not necessarily I have to leave that friend behind. It could be something else. It could be a different message. So it's just again understanding of where these messages are taking you into your new, the new version of Julie or the new version of Rob or the new version of yourself. It's that understanding, isn't it, Rob?
Too. And it's the practice.
Yes, the practice,
Yeah.
you'll get it. You'll go, ah, it's
Yeah.
more like you become so much of the neutral of zebra. That is me now. Most
Hmm.
things when somebody else says something, it's very rare now that I'll trigger, and I'll
Yeah.
trigger it if
Same.
I know there's some old really deep trauma, as in something I've not cleared. But otherwise, it's like, I know why you're saying that, or that's interesting. That's another thing you can say, hmm. That's interesting that that
Interesting.
happened.
Yes.
I'm
Yeah.
curious because that lifts your energy into being more the curious observer rather than how very dare they say this to me. They did that to me, they did this to me. That's the old version of ourselves that we shouldn't be doing anymore. But
Exactly.
a
And
lot
as
of us
you
still do.
extrapolate that to global circumstances, don't get involved in all this.
Yeah, yeah,
Stand
yeah,
back, stay neutral, let it run its course,
yeah,
and just be true to
yeah,
yourself.
definitely.
You
Yeah,
know, because
yeah.
you
All
just
for good.
put your energy in the washing machine and it just comes out not knowing where to go.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
awfully difficult and confusing and hard to pull yourself back into line. Just get back within yourself, stay true to yourself, get into your heart space and work from there, and
Mm.
anything's possible.
And then you have more
And to that
energy
end,
for
Julie,
yourself. Yeah,
absolutely, yeah,
yeah,
we've got
yeah.
a really nice, easy meditation on our website
Yes.
that you're welcome to go to. There's a link below. That will help you just center your energy
Hmm.
and then experiment with sensing guides.
Yes, yes.
So if you've done it already, great. You can do it all day, every day if you want, or you can do it once a week, but feel free to use that as a tool to just help you get on with this work. And I think that should
And
be us
that
for the
is a
week.
wrap. Mm.
Yeah,
Yeah, yes, we will see you.
great.
Bye for now. We will see you in the next episode. Okay.
Absolutely. Take care, everyone.